But we have $26,500 left in that money that's specifically set aside for our community. And so that's what this agreement is to use the remainder of our money to help pay for our master plan.
Very good. Questions, Commission?
So where are we at in the RRC process? It kind of got,
We're about 75%.
so what's
Through.
the plan to get us to 100? And would we need funds for any of that?
We shouldn't need funds for any of the rest of it. We have to finish our master plan, and then we will have to look at our zoning ordinance for any kind of updates that way. And then after that, we have our economic development plan. We have our charrette sites. We should be very close after that.
I like that we're kind of using the master plan as the next jumping off point for that. Previously, we were kind of charging ahead without, with an old plan, so.
Very good. And that takes about 2 years to do the master plan, is that your guess?
About next August, we should be. About a year, yeah.
You've had meetings already,
We've started having meetings, and our community survey goes live on the 23rd. Steve, I think, just posted on it. And then a community survey for people. They will be at Summerfest with a booth to get community input, and they will also be at one of our farmers markets to get input. And then the survey is also available at City Hall or at the library if anyone wants to fill it out, and we'll send it in to them.
And Steve, how are you notifying all the people that that's going to happen?
I'm putting on social media, I'm going on radio, and all that good stuff.
And it's also in the newsletter.
In the newsletter. Yes, it's in the newsletter. Just get something out for the paper.
For people to jump into, I don't know. Very good. Thank you, Michelle. Do I hear a motion for the resolution to accept the grant from MEDC?
So moved.
Support. Motion supported. Questions, Tammy?
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heffley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes. Next, a resolution to get a little money from the opioid settlement.
Yes, Mayor, we have 2 or 3 different opioid funding mechanisms, one of which, this one, requires a commission authorization to sign the agreement related to Walgreens, $10,000 over, or $10,268 over the next 15 years. We have dedicated those funds to go to public safety, as you know, there's a requirement to use them for opioid remediation uses, and public safety seems the best segue there. Recommend moving forward here.
That's the total over 15 years, correct?
Right, $10,000 total over 15 years. It's what, $800 a year
Right. And this is just from Walgreens. We're getting another.
from other. Yeah, we get. Is there 2 or 3 of them, Carla?
Including Walgreens 3.
There's 3, right? So, could you estimate what our total? I think it's in the maybe $1,500 range a year annually.
Is Danny using that for Narcan or?
So training funds, equipment.
So training.
Equipment, training kits.
So you police officers get training on how to inject Narcan, right?
That's correct, yep.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the resolution regarding the opioid settlement from Walgreens?
Support.
Motion, support, questions? Jamie?
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Heffley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Next is a more rousing resolution that affects the employees and a lot of employees' families. It's the resolution. They're all listed, and I think you probably want to tell us about it.
Oh, I can, Mayor. So I'm not sure if, some of you've probably not seen job share before. It's a term that we used to have, I've noted in the position paper that had been over 20 years since we had used that. The ability, we had 2 employees that essentially shared a full-time position. If you ask some that have been around for a long time whether that worked very well or not, So I don't see the city looking to explore doing that in the future. So just kind of cleaning up. And Commissioner Simmons had said, you know, housekeeping. So that's one of those things that I consider housekeeping. If it's something that's there that we're not using and don't intend to use again, then, you know, we might as well delete it. So that's the job share. Change the 40 hours to 60 hours, converting vacation time to pay. We do have a few employees that, you know, either for various reasons, either, you know, have a hard time maybe 1 year having the ability to take some time, or some they would just like to convert it to cash. So we allow employees the ability to do that. And employees appreciate being able to do that if there's the need. And then section 55.10, bereavement, adding life partner to that. And then, of course, section 56.10, changing, reducing the paid parental leave from 8 weeks to 6 weeks. So it's just technically changing this because we had all the discussions back in May, and the commission had actually already approved the changes to the policy. So just a few changes this year.
Very good. Questions? Yes, please.
I do have one question. Are there guidelines that dictate what life partner is, like to quantify that? Because I feel like that could be a sticky wicket.
Yeah, so we don't have a definition, you know, of, I mean, like specifically. We had actually, how this came about is the AFSCME group, when we had negotiated their contract back in the end of 22, there was a request by their representative to add that. So that was one of the things that was changed and added in the AFSCME's contract. So typically what we tend to do then is we like to have it be, you know, equitable across all employee groups. So when I looked up the definition, the general definition, you know, I mean, we can put that somewhere if you would like, if the commission would like to have that clear. But the definition that I had found was that it's typically more than, I mean, of course, obviously we wouldn't have all of this, but it's typically more than just a boyfriend or girlfriend, demonstrating a long-term relationship with the intent of performance, but without the formal recognition of marriage. So I know that, you know, we've had a few different employees over the years that have had, you know, significant others, life partners. You know, there's one employee that I can think of that's, you know, the two of them, they have been together for decades, but they're not married, you know, but they still reside together, you know, it's just for the both of them, he, she, whether they choose not to get married type thing or whatever, it's just.
I think I would appreciate something, like some statement of that in there. I don't know how we would go about that, but that way, if and when somebody does need to use this in the future, they have clarity on if they're able to use it or not.
So adding a definition.
Adding a definition, yep.
Do we have any other definitions in the policy?
The only definition that I can think of is where it refers to step. So it talks about where the step became a step prior to the age of 18, then that's where that applies. You know, so I mean, we could add a definition.
Do the union contracts say anything about that issue?
It was presented and approved for the AFSCME contract. We have not, I mean, we've got the 2 police patrol police sergeants contracts that will be up for negotiation next year. It's one of those things. I mean, I know there's, you know, the concern wanting clarification and that sort of thing, but it's kind of one of those things that we want to be inclusive and not excluding.
Right.
The reason Brad, there's got to be a way to do this, approve this, but put the add-on, because there are some people getting ready for fraternity, and they're really close to not getting it if we don't pass this tonight. I had heard that on the street, not from Mark. And I don't want, it's only fair that somebody's gonna,
yeah, for clarity, none of what I was saying previously was to say let's not vote on this and move forward. I was just
you gotta
thinking,
do something.
a thought for the future, is there a way to get a definition in there
How do you do
at a
that,
later
Brad?
date?
Can we do that?
You can vote to approve it tonight. If you have the definition you want, you can insert it tonight. Otherwise, you can vote and approve it as is, and then instruct to come back and add that.
Right.
Could we do that?
That was
Would
more
anybody
in
object
Yep.
to
What
that?
I was thinking is
Okay.
to come back
You
later
okay
with
with
the
this
definition.
direction? Yes? Anybody else have comment? So we're going,
Mayor.
Couldn't you just approve it tonight pending the change, and then it would go into effect with that change as soon as it's typed in?
the problem is it's not till September 5th, and I know there's some people having babies.
No,
So, but
what I'm
Mayor,
saying is
there's,
approved as long as that is added in tonight, or it would already be approved today, just pending the change.
Problem with that is you don't have the definition in front of you and you need
Right.
that
Yep.
definition.
Anything?
no, I was just gonna say, your concern is the paid parental leave, but that is all, I mean,
That's done.
that's
done. We already
technically,
voted that in.
Right.
technically, that's already been done.
Yeah.
This is just for the non-bargaining employee group, and
Well, I
to
don't know if
my
any of them-
knowledge,
I don't know if any of them are pregnant.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any non-bargaining employees that
I
are
think we better
currently
comment
gonna be
on it.
delivering in the next month, so.
All right, do I hear a motion to, for the amendments to the non-bargaining employees personnel policy and procedure?
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Questions? Tammy?
Cochran,
Yes.
Epley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
And Melissa, you'll get that definition in there, and we all vote on that definition as well?
If you're gonna insert it into the policy and change the policy, then.
All right.
Propose
Somebody
something.
scan me
in
again?
the-
Have it, Melissa. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, bicycles. Tammy, are you the bicycle lady? You gonna talk about bicycles?
Actually, I probably refer to Brad.
Yeah.
Oh, Brad, oh, you're gonna talk about bicycles, very good,
In
Brad.
Danny's absence, I'll talk about bicycles. So we met, Chief Haynes and Tammy and I discussed after the last commission meeting, amending the ordinance to make an optional permit instead of a mandatory license, since nobody was getting licenses for bikes anyway. And so we did that. We revised the ordinance and created an amendment, which you have in your packets, which would essentially make it an optional permitting process instead of a mandatory license. Everything else still remains the same. There would be a fee for non-city residents that would opt to obtain a bike permit. And it would be free of charge for city residents if they wanted to do that. So that's the gist of what we did in the changes. If you have any specific questions about the language, I'm happy to answer those, but otherwise it's ready for your review and consideration.
Tammy, happy?
Why-
Well, she's the one that has to enforce it all.
Why are we calling it registration permit as opposed to just registration?
I mean, that was the idea, is that the idea behind this is that it allows the public safety department of the city to help track bicycles in case they're stolen or lost. So it's really, it's a registration of your bike so that it's on file with the city and has a number that's assigned to it. And so that's why we just changed that language. There's no, it's kind of a term of art, but it's not really a, specific thing.
It's a permit, but it's not a permit.
Right.
But we're using the word permit.
Right, I mean, it's a registration permit, but it's optional. I mean, there are some groups, my understanding from speaking to Chief Haynes, Boy Scouts, things like that want to use it, so.
Right. Other questions? Is there a motion for the bicycle code? It's an ordinance as well, so we have to have 4 votes.
So moved.
Support. Motion and support. Tammy?
Epley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Cochran.
Yes.
Next is a resolution adopting the schedule of city fees. Who's gonna talk? Tammy? She is the fee queen.
Okay, so, the schedule of fees, we, every 5 years is mandated for the schedule of fees to come to the commission. And if we make any changes throughout a certain year, you are, informed of it each January. Well, we haven't made any in the last 5 years, so except for the abatement fee, and that did come to you. So this is the 5th year, so I've been working on this, and I emailed all the departments, they've all got back to me on stuff that we wanna adjust or change. The first one would be just the abatement fee. We had it at $650, really needs to go up to $800. The cost of publishing notices in the paper, sending out certified mail to residents, attorney fees, that all came to just close to $599. So, I mean, it's only gonna go up. So the cost of publishing and certified mail is just, I mean, the mail goes up twice a year now. So all those prices are going up, so we give it a little bit of a cushion so we wouldn't have to be coming every single year to raise that price. Under miscellaneous copies, utility history more than 1 month was $3 a page. That's obsolete. We crossed it out. Previous tax year bills, we've crossed that out. It's also obsolete. We currently don't have it anymore. Digital or the GIS mapping data, we changed that to printing fee schedule. Just changed the name. Digital information, the CDs, each tile, city, surrounding area, all of those we've taken off because you can get it free online. So we're not charging for it, so we're just taking it right off the fee schedule. Blueprints and copies, same thing. We got rid of those. And then, of course, our bicycle permit for non-residents would be $3. It's actually, the actual cost is $288. That gives us a little bit of flexibility in case that price goes up as well. The CDs were $15. We've reduced the cost to $1 because the CD does not cost $15. And when we use CDs, we use them for FOIAs, and they do have to pay for redaction fee. So the actual CD should not be $15, should be $1. And then the collection of the water samples, apparently we no longer do collection of water samples following construction or additional samples after construction. We no longer do those anymore. So those were taken off. So those are the changes.
Thank you. Questions? Commission?
Miscellaneous copies, information on CD. Is that where we just burn some of the documents onto a CD, or what do you know what that is? Third, it's the fourth item.
I see what was your question again?
What does that mean? Are we just taking the information and burning it onto a CD?
Yes.
Okay, as opposed to like a thumb drive or something, we still burn stuff on CDs?
We do.
Okay, alright.
We do. And I get those prices from the IT guys.
Okay.
Questions? More? Commission? Oh. Go hear a motion for the city fee schedule.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions? Okay.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes. We made it through. Unscheduled business. Commission concerns or others?
I wanted to just offer something. I don't know if people are aware that the commissioners have an opportunity to represent the city on the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission. I have had the privilege of serving in that capacity for the last 2 or 3 years. Come November, I will be stepping down from that role, and I am pleased to announce that Commissioner Simmons has agreed to take that over from me. Commissioner Simmons has experience having served first on our planning commission before she came onto the city commission, and I think she will be an awesome representative for us.
Do we have to vote on that?
I don't think we had to vote on it, but in talking, I felt better bringing it up under unscheduled business and just getting feedback. And
there is a resolution that will come.
Oh, there will be.
all right,
Okay.
yeah, I thought we did one, but
We did one when you got another reappointment.
so I'm excited to do that. I just wanted.
That's
everyone
Mr.
to-
G.
B.
B.
Mr.
Dave
B.
Mr. B.
Mark, you wanted,
Bumblebee.
you wanted the assessor.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mayor.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say something.
I have one, if you're
One
into
what?
that. Something to talk about.
Unscheduled.
Oh, well.
So we are underway with their assessor search, just at the very infant stages. I think postings are coming out this week. And since it's a commission-appointed position, I was hoping we could get a commissioner or two interested in serving on the committee that would then make a recommendation to the full commission.
Do you know when they will meet, Mark, or was that up to the committee?
It's up to the committee, yeah.
We don't have a chair of that committee,
No.
It'll be you, maybe?
Could be, sure, I'm happy.
Because
to-
you're on that committee.
Yes, yeah.
And you have invited the county assessor.
Shyla Kyander as the equalization director, Carla and Melissa, and that's been the four of us right now, but we really do need a commission connection on there.
At least one, huh? Probably.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it open and then go to Mark if you're interested, and then we'll bring it back for a vote. Unless everybody knows what they want to do already.
Well, I'm happy to sit, but I'd like to give another commissioner or the mayor an opportunity.
Let's give it a little
so
time.
Folks can think on
When
it.
do you plan on meeting, Mark?
Well, we'll have a 2-week posting, so I think they're back on the
First part of-
6th or something.
Yeah, first part of September.
So September 5th, if
You'll meet
we can
sometime
have that
after that.
designated, right, after that, then, to review and do interviews and those types of things.
So any commissioner or mayor interested should go to Mark before the 5th.
Sure.
Good
Sounds
enough?
good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good, Michelle, for remembering that.
Then, Mark, yeah, convention?
MML convention
Yes.
is the 3rd week or so of October.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cochran was interested. I think the mayor had talked about having to go.
I have to go because we won the bid for the Michigan Association of Mayors meeting next August.
So you get to go.
So, no, I have
So
to
you
go.
get to go, you get to go.
I get to go.
You get to go there.
To tell them about what Big Rapids has to offer and all this. We haven't met yet. But by end of October, we're gonna have to come up with some entertainment and some dinner plans, etc. So I have to
I
go.
think we have the perfect person to assist you.
Like
your plan there.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've already planned. So anyway, I think I have to address the MML board, and that's the first meeting at 7:30.
So the mayor needs registered, Commissioner Cochran needs registered,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson needs registered.
Tammy, I'll get with you.
Do you know what the date is?
I
Yeah.
believe it's October 18th through the 21st, it's right before my birthday.
It's like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Or like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 'cause I think
Something.
his meeting might be on Tuesday.
First thing, I won't go for the whole 4 days.
Yeah, I believe the first day is the 18th, 19th is, I believe.
Do you pay for the hotel too, Mark?
Well, if you need one, Mayor, or you're
Well,
not
if you
gonna.
go for 4 days, I'm not gonna live on the street.
It is October
I thought you just
18th.
said you're not going for
Oh,
4 days.
that's quite a commute.
So this information needs to be communicated to Tammy
Yes.
ASAP
Okay.
to get early registrations and that kind of thing.
It's been on our email for about 2 months.
That's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
What else, group?
Oh, chimney swifts, okay. Mayor,
What?
Thing?
I'm
It's a
sorry.
thing, it's a big thing right now.
You
The
may,
chimney swift.
What's that?
you might throw something
Birds.
at me here. but What's a
We're not
chimney
cleaning
swift?
chimneys here, these are birds.
We have a chimney in City Hall that's open, and it
We'll
is
put
not.
a little thing over it.
No, we don't want anything.
No,
No,
no.
you don't want anything over it. It's been open for years, and it is a communal roost for a bird called the chimney swift.
A what?
Chimney swift.
Communal what?
Swift.
Roost. That means they spend the night there, Mayor. It's like the hotel you want in Traverse City.
A bird household.
And
Are they
Michelle,
protected or something?
They are,
well, they should be if they're not, but anyhow, Michelle in the library is organizing an event for this Friday for you and any others to come and witness them going to roost. Because it's actually fascinating.
I've seen the videos.
What does that
You
mean,
haven't seen
going
the
to
video?
roost? Does
I'll
that
show
They
you
go
a
into the
video
chimney.
after the meeting.
It's at the
Like
library.
they have a day that we all know?
No, it's
and
here,
they announce
Every
it
because
in
they
the world?
roost at
Every
City
night.
Hall.
They
Meeting,
do.
so the
Every
meeting is
night.
here Friday.
Yeah,
They leave in
at
the morning.
8
they come
o'clock
back
at night.
So they're not
Well, I
nocturnal?
expect you'll be there.
No,
Well, they're not nocturnal, they're just coming home.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I've learned more about chimney swifts in the last month than I think
It's a really cool thing.
We all have, I read a book.
Bats. They move like bats.
They're probably
and
bats.
They're not
They're not
bats.
bats. I'll show you a video.
Yeah, they
So are we supposed to declare this a holiday or something?
No, it's,
We-
what were you
Mayor,
thinking of calling it?
Mayor, Friday night, we would love
We were
to
gonna
have.
put calling all
Come look at the-
Swifties
Calling all Swifties.
There you go. Go again.
for Taylor
I'm sure
Swift.
Kathy Crew will be there to cover it.
We should have her. That'd be great.
What time, Mark?
8.
We're gonna have an
I don't know what
informational
the rest
session that
is.
starts at 8 o'clock, so, you can get educated
At the
on.
library?
Is Ed playing
It's
baritone?
here. It's all here.
We don't want Ed anywhere near City Hall, because the one night he showed up, it kinda squirreled things up. No, that's just joking. I don't know if Ed's playing or not. We have not invited him. That doesn't mean he's not playing.
What are they, Swifties?
Chimney
Swift.
Swift.
Spell it.
Michelle,
You need to give them the.
I'll just show you a video and send you the flyer.
Swift, bats,
Oh, Swift.
bats, yeah, Swift.
Swifties is something else entirely.
You get a variety of people.
Well, it's
I think it's a
something,
great idea.
It's just fun.
yeah, it's just.
Of the City Commission, August 21st. Roll call,
Cochran?
Here.
Epley?
Here.
Gunther?
here.
Johnson?
Here.
Simmons?
Here.
We could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark, do you have any corrections or additions to the agenda?
No changes, Mayor.
Thank you. The minutes of the meeting of August 7th were sent out to us on Friday. Do you have comments or questions about those minutes? Do you have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions, additions, anyone? All those in favor of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. There are no special orders today. Our study session, the first part of it is a positive thing brought to us again by our friend Dan, and welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is a continuation of, I think I was here January or February of this year. And I proposed that Big Rapids is the host for something that we're gonna call the Big Dam Ride. Big for Big Rapids and dam for all the dams that are along the Muskegon River. Since then, we've been partnering with the Muskegon River Watershed Association. And we have developed, you got a little handout, we've developed 4 routes so far. One of them is 65 miles. Another one, so if you're interested in doing a century, we just call that the metric century and call it good. Eventually, I'd like to try to see if we can get a 100-mile one in there and call it the official century. The 42-mile is the hot dam ride, 20 miles, and that's going to take into consideration the newly paved bike trail, the White Pine Trail from Howard City to, I gotta get into uniform and some of this stuff.
Now we gotta get into school spirit also.
Because I was at and the last one is a pretty damn easy ride, 6 miles, or otherwise known as 10K. And we could also, I thought, that could be a 10K run too, all going at the same time. So we have a website, we have a Facebook page, and I thought, we could have school competitions. So I was at one ride in Grand Rapids, they had 1,700 riders. And I kept seeing, Michigan State and all this. And I thought, let's get the GLIAC involved. I don't know if you get Michigan Tech down here or not. Try to get some bike groups at the different universities and have them ride together also. I know we have to get with the DNR to get permission to ride on the trail. I have to get with the state of Michigan to ride on Northland Drive, on M20, any of the state roads, county roads. I gotta get with Tim Nessel, send approvals. I've already worked a little bit with Mark and public safety as far as here within Big Rapids. I do have one concern when you come across the pedestrian bridge, because we're trying to bring them, show off Big Rapids. You turn the corner, you're coming from Swede Park, come down that nice trail, then you turn the corner, and all of a sudden, you got about a 2 to 3 inch jump to go from the pavement up onto the bridge. If you're doing it at speed, so we're gonna try to put signs say, hey, go slow. I thought, hey, let's put 2x4s on there. You know, we're still working on trying to get jerseys for this, and you know, try to get a little splash going. So, you know, this takes me back to my military days, you know, but it was something. Oh, and so yes, it was for riding 1,000 kilometers during the summertime. So that was a good thing that our little post had going. As you can see, I do have a road bike here. It is a lot lighter than the mountain bike. This is designed for roads, not necessarily trails. Because going on trails, I'd be hopping on the mountain bike. There's also one in between called the gravel bike. Haven't gotten one of those yet. Not working too hard. On the back sheet, you can see the elevation profile. And we will publish these, and we still have some editing to do, but if you look at the top one, in the middle there, that's when you're crossing Croton Dam. And from Croton Dam, up until you go over the expressway going into Morley, it's uphill. Because guess what? The water flows downhill that way. You get a good lesson on the watershed. Trouble is when you're riding it, it's also, you know, if the wind's with you, you're okay. If the wind's not, you might check out the 42 mile or whatever. But, you know, I'm open to questions or concerns. We have a little committee within the Rotary Club that's helping me put all this together, working with Sarah Hines and Scott Faulkner at the watershed, working with them. You know, it'd be nice, the trail from the depot north up to North End Park is not the kindest trail on a bike right now. There are some huge roots that make it rough on a road bike because there's no shocks. Mountain bike, you can probably handle it much better. So depending on the condition of that trail, we might shift that over to, I think it's 4th Street that goes up in front of the recycling place. And goes all the way up into North End Park.
When are you shooting for it, Dan?
Right now we're shooting for September 14th, 2024. We came to that, so, and I have a couple extra copies of this, and this is the League of Michigan Bicyclists calendar. And I looked around, I had the group look around, I said, hey, take a look. So we don't want to interfere with bike rides going into neighboring town, because they probably already have the riders. So we have to pick a date. Dr. Pink wanted something to do with the alumni. Well, school's in session in the middle of September. You know, it could be a home football game, but you know, if we start at 9 o'clock, the riders will be out past the stadium by 9:30 without any problem. If we have a 10K run, hey, you're having a 10K run at the same time a home football game, just more people. course, more traffic control. Make everybody happy on that one.
Dan, what's the difference between a bike ride and a bike competition? Is this a competition?
This is not a competition. This is in Grand Rapids, they called it the Grand Fondo. And I kept hearing Grand Fondo for a long time. And finally I asked, I said, okay, I'm gonna play ignorant. Tell me what a Grand Fondo, it means long bike ride. It's a long bike ride. It's still, so it's not timed. A lot of the mountain bike races and the gravel bike races, they're timed. This one would not be timed. I just did a ride last month up in Elk Rapids. Oh, by the way, the Grand Rapids Grand Fondo had about 1,700 riders. Elk Rapids, where they hosted the ride around Torch Lake. They had a 65-mile ride, a 100-mile ride, they had 1,200 riders at Elk Rapids. Now, if that's too many people, we just say, okay, let's cap it, or we'd say, hey, the more the merrier. We have discussions, because when you come down Ives Street and then you hang a right to go back to the depot, and I thought, okay, how do you get across the intersection down there? Because one lane's turn only, and the outside lane is, I said, bike lane, I don't know if that would go over. Or we just say, okay, we're gonna finish down at Hemlock Park. We just go down that ramp and finish down there too. The committee, we have to talk that one over and find out, we'll get with the city on, can we finish down there? I pretty much got clearance to start at the depot. And one of our committee members, by the way, is trying to find space in the city to open a bike shop. Because he's noticed, because he and I keep talking to each other, and he's new to the area. He's been up here about 6 weeks, and he says, you know, there's no bike shop here. I understand that.
The depot would be a good bike shop.
I put him in touch. I sent an email to Mr. Klussman, Duncan Klussman, with this guy's on the CC line, kind of did here's a virtual introduction. Maybe you two guys can talk. So I'm not sure what's come out of that one.
So you must have a huge amount of volunteers needed for traffic control and all that stuff?
I'm thinking traffic control, once you get on, so yes, huge, I'm not going to jump to huge, but it might be, you might have city, and you got different jurisdictions, city, and then you got the Ferris University, and then you have, is it going to be sheriff or who has jurisdiction out on the state roads? 'Cause once you get on Northland Drive, you're going straight south until you turn down there by Ice Mountain, and there's really no traffic control needed until you get over into Newaygo County. Then you make a left-hand turn to head down to the dams. Maybe one at Morley when you're coming back on, I forget the name of that road, but you come back into Morley, and to see the Morley Dam, we do a little right-hand turn into the park down there on the other side of the dam, then head back straight up Northland Drive. It's all clear. So I think it's very manageable. We just have to help. The one part where I haven't done all the research because I got to get the trail finished is how many roads does the White Pine Trail cross? And do I need any traffic control, particularly out here I call it M20, whatever the name of it is. Yeah, and I'm going to say, hey, a lot of the rides that I'm on, you know, you see an arrow, you make a left-hand turn, you better clear it away, because there's no traffic control out there. You make a left-hand turn.
Mark, who's gonna be the city's connection to his?
Oh, I'll help Dan. We're,
You will.
we're friends through Rotary, and certainly public safety is the key, and I know Detective Flory's with us tonight, Chief Haynes will be on board. I don't think he's gonna have any issue dealing with us. It sounds exciting, and we appreciate his enthusiasm, as you can see, so.
Other questions, commissioners?
Just a statement, thank you for having this idea and seeing it through.
Tell me.
That next year.
November.
Yeah. Well, you're still pushing strong,
I'm
so I
still trying to
appreciate
get
that.
some people from Michigan Tech down here.
Okay, yeah, we've gotta get all the universities
Because I
funded, right?
understand they're big into mountain biking up there. We'll take whatever.
Have you thought eventually of a connection to the big one out there in Nuevo County?
So that is a single.
Dragon.
Oh, Dragon Trail, and I love the Dragon Trail. It is a great trail for, when I say beginners, you better be under control when you're riding that, because there are some steep cliffs out there. I just did 16 miles, I think, last Sunday, or couple weekends ago, and it was fun. It was fun, and that's for the mountain bike. And I see people out there with e-bikes, and I said, okay, those things are dangerous if you don't control the speed, because they can accelerate very well. By the way, I'm not limiting this ride to road bikes. If somebody wants to do it on a road bike or a mountain bike, they can. I saw somebody riding a fat tire bike on the Grand Fondo, the 80-mile bike ride in Grand Rapids. I rode by him, I said, more power to you. It's good leg conditioning. I think all I'm trying to do is bring people to Big Rapids and try to get some people in hotels and get people down here in downtown, something can be going on at the same time. That would be great. More the merrier.
Super.
Thank
you.
Great idea,
Thank you. Come back as you go along.
Keep us updated.
Yes.
How many jerseys do you have, Dan?
Yeah.
No.
He's got a lot of jerseys.
Hey, there was some decision making. I did see an
Except the
article.
northern Michigan one wasn't so hot.
My daughter gave me that. She's a graduate of Northern Michigan, so I said, and yeah, I understand, you're a Husky, and kudos to that, and if you can get something going with Dr. Pink on this,
There we go.
I think that would be great. Because I'm gonna regress, I did meet a young lady, she said, it'd be nice if there was some sort of bike riding organization around here, something to do. And I met another couple they were a younger couple out at the Dragon Trail. They were from Paris, but they were out there with their mountain bikes. They said, we're just looking for something to do. And I thought, well.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
I said, okay, I'm trying to bring that something to do.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none, the next study session is water and sewer rates. Carla Staff.
So what you have in front of you is a proposal to look at adjusting the water and wastewater rates. And the average customer uses 4 units of water and 3 units of wastewater, and this is monthly. The reason for the difference between water and wastewater is some people have separate sprinkler meters, so their sewer usage is less. So let's look at wastewater first. There you're looking at a decrease in rates, and this is based on a model, and we're in the 10th year of this from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. They suggested that we needed to adjust our rates so that we were charging more for the larger meters than we were for the smaller meters. So that's kind of adjusting that to where they believe it would be more of a fair rate. So that's what you're seeing for sewer rates. The 5/8 inch remains the same, and that's what most of the residential customers are. The commodity charge is also, we're also proposing that stay the same. That's something that we're gonna wanna look at going forward next year to look at maybe increasing that rate. That's been that rate for a while, so that's something that we could possibly increase there. And then with wastewater, our consumption actually increased from the previous fiscal year. So we gained revenue for that. When you're looking at water, we decreased. We actually went from 311,000 to 300,000 units, and you can kind of equate that to a decreased population and water saving methods. People are looking at saving methods. They're not, watering their lawns as much as they used to, and they're installing toilets that are better with usage. So that's why you have that. And water rates is the 5/8 inch size will remain the same. You'll see the biggest increase will be the 3/4 inch size. That'll be a increase there. You'll see slight increases in some of the other sizes. The commodity charge, which is the per unit 1,000 gallon charge, is going to stay the same at $6.15. So there's lots of schedules attached to kind of give you analysis of our wastewater and water. So if you're looking at Exhibit 5 and Exhibit 6, it shows this was the fiscal year ending in 22, how many customers we have, what size, how many customers at the different size meters, what the consumption was. And that all figures into the final exhibits 4 and 5, which show how the sewer and water rates are actually calculated. And then for sewer, that ratio, that is the suggested ratio by Eagle to bring us in line with how they think it should be. So any questions?
So does Eagle tell you how much you can actually charge per unit?
No, it's suggested.
What's that?
It's suggested. It's strongly suggested. No, they don't mandate what you should be charging.
Yeah, because they thought you were charging too much for a greater diameter pipe. You are adjusting that to please them. Now, why would that be?
Mayor, yeah, it comes back to sort of a public service commission type of relationship, right? Where consumers or DTE have to go to the public service commission to ensure that there's fairness in the rate system. It's the same concept for municipalities through Eagle, is that they police local units to make sure there's fairness in the system in which it's charged. It's been that way as long as I've been involved, and we got, kind of chastised for it a number of years ago. And
Right.
It sounds like we're getting really close to meeting their
This is our final year to
professional
meet it.
standard. So
This is
it's
year
just
10.
the way it goes with running, municipal utilities, Mayor. That's the way it goes. I mean, we are licensed through the state to do that, to have a water system or to have a wastewater system. So they take that authority and apply it in a lot of different ways.
Other questions for Harlow?
When would we be looking at making these?
The next
changes?
meeting.
Okay.
This is to give you time to look at it and
So
ask questions.
how soon would our average customer be impacted?
Well, if it's adopted at the next meeting, it would be, we could set that. We could set it for the following month. We could set it, if you want to give more time, you could do it the month
We
after
read
that.
meters sort of the end of the month, the
Yes.
bill at the beginning of the month is.
For the previous month,
is kind
so
of,
we're billing in arrears.
Cycle, so it would be maybe as soon as the end of September or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the end of October, in that time frame.
I would just think that we would want at least one billing cycle with an insert in it to let folks know what the changes are and why they are.
We could easily.
And then
adopt
adopt
Yes,
that if we
yes.
were to adopt it
Yes.
next time, as long as we can build that in. Just trying to let folks know it doesn't, you know, it's a dollar, it looks like. It's more than $1 for some people, but.
Sound good, Carla?
Mhm.
Great. Questions, other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment not related to items on the agenda. Please, if you'd identify yourself and where you live.
Yes, sir. My name is Robert Pickett. I'm a resident here of Big Rapids, Michigan. First of all, before I get started, I want to say thank you all for being here today. It means a lot to see you all come out and support the community council, or at least attending the meeting, so that you have some idea what's going on in the community. I grew up in a lawyer's family, so the more involved I can be in my community, the better for me. Some of them already know who I am, a lot of you don't. My name is Robert Pickett. I own BR's Jelly Ball. We are a entertainment service. Currently located just outside of Big Rapids, the city. We are actually over in the township, over on Old Mill Pond Road. I just want to make public comment because I was actually informed to be here today at the end of last month because we were supposed to have a special hearing on getting some things changed so that I could operate here inside the city. Apparently it never got scheduled or there were some miscommunications. I understand things do happen, but I did want to come forward and introduce myself. And other than that, I just want to make it known and on the record that I've been trying to get a business license here for the city so that I can pay my taxes to the city since I live here for 2 years now. And just recently have I received my first communications from the police commissioner who has yet to approve my business licenses. I've applied 4 different times. And while they do have a right to tell me I can't operate on public land, I don't feel it's right to be denied or refuse my license for a general business license, which I'm licensed through for the state. And for anybody that doesn't know what a general business license is, it's a license that allows anybody or business to do anything that is legal. Because I do multiple things. I've been working since I was 9 years old. I have a lot of experience in multiple things. I don't have one business just for one thing. I do a lot. So I feel I've been denied my business license unfairly and unjustly. And I would look forward to working with some of you guys in the future to get these issues resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment not related to items on the agenda. Anyone? Hearing none? Yes.
I can address the business license issue if you'd like, Mayor. I mean, the issue is that there's a couple of ordinance provisions that would need to be changed to make it legal in the city to operate that business. One being section 130.04, which prohibits the discharge of any firearm, BB gun, or pellet gun within the city. And we looked up the state definition of a firearm, and it includes pneumatic guns, which would include paintball guns and jelly ball guns that are powered by some sort of air or gas or motion movement. So that could be amended, but it would have to be amended before any business license would be issued, is what Danny and I decided when we looked at this a few months ago. And then the other provision that's not necessarily a prohibition, but something that would probably have to be addressed, is that you can't have any baseball, football, softball, throwing, or other violent or rough exercises or play engaged in a public park other than in a designated area. And so there would have to be some designated area for this activity to take place. And so those are the areas that I think we need to work with this gentleman on in terms of getting him in a position to be able to move forward.
Didn't we used to have a paintball business downtown? How were they allowed to operate? 2?
Yeah, I mean, if they were operating in the city, that would be in violation of this provision of the ordinance.
That only applies on public property. You cannot prevent me to have a business license to allow me to operate what I want to do on private property. Whereas 95% of my business operates on private property. When the mayor and his family hired me for a party, I went to the mayor and his family's house. That is private property. To deny me a business license for 2 years is not only a disservice to me, but to my community who's not receiving the taxes that they should.
I think the bottom line is we've got to iron this out.
Right, I mean, it just requires an ordinance revision if that wants to be moved forward.
It doesn't though. It doesn't issue my license. That just is a revision made for me to operate at the events in town. For me to operate on public or private property, those ordinances do not apply. If you're telling me that applies, then you have to go write a ticket to every child who uses a Nerf gun. Because every Nerf gun out there uses the same internals as my equipment. So, and a Nerf gun uses compressed air or compressed springs, which by your legislation means that those are illegal. So anytime I see a child shooting a Nerf gun, I'm supposed to pick up the phone, call 911, even if it's on private property? That's my question. Yes or no?
We'll get at it. Yeah. We'll get at it.
No? Well, I'm going to, because you said that's the law. Thank you.
We'll work on it.
Mayor, I'll make a priority of getting this in front of you one way or the other, and then the commission can decide what's best for the community. So, does that sound good?
Yes, but jelly ball's a lot different than some of the other things. It was a
Well,
pretty fun day for our family.
I mean, that's not all I do, though.
I know, but that part.
I do virtual entertainment, I do DJ entertainment, I offer food services through another company. I'm not just Jelly Ball, you can't deny my services on one item.
So, you two are gonna work on it.
We can work on it, we can propose an ordinance for you to look at.
Very good. Anybody have further question? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's see here. Any other comment anyone has? Public comment? We'll move down to general business. Local governing body resolution for a charitable gaming license raffle. Mark, is it?
Yes, it is, and Wendy is here.
Wendy's here,
with
so
us.
there we go.
Yes.
You need me to step up to the mic?
Sure, if you'd like to talk.
I think I put this in the initial letter that I sent to the commission that we're a fairly new nonprofit, fairly new, formed in 2018. First 3 years we were here in Big Rapids. Last year took a little hiatus and went over to Whitehall. That didn't work out. We're back in Big Rapids. We are doing a fundraiser on September 9th. And apparently somewhere during COVID, all of our paperwork for a gaming license, we had an event in 2019 and we were able to do a 50-50 raffle then. Something got mishandled or lost or something happened. So we're having to reapply and have all the paperwork redone to have a gaming license for our 50-50 raffle on the 9th of September.
Questions for Wendy? Are you a 501c3?
We are. The articles of incorporation should have been in your packet.
Yeah. The services are, how do you arrive at your clients?
We get referrals from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services or law enforcement. Our primary mission is to provide forensic interviews for children who have been sexually abused. And so what we're doing, without any government funding at this point, we rely on grants and fundraisers, and we provide a forensic interview for the child and advocacy for the caretakers of that child, whether that be a family member, a foster parent, grandparent, and to assist law enforcement in their prosecution of alleged child sexual abusers. And it does two things. One is a forensic interview. If there's a disclosure, it allows law enforcement to have that evidence. It's their case and it's their evidence that we provide for them. We tape. What happens in a forensic interview is that the child and a trained forensic interviewer who is separate from anybody, it's a separate entity. We don't have any skin in the game to law enforcement or MDHHS. Conducts the interview with the child. At the same time the child is being interviewed in one room, it is being taped and observed in another room in the same building by law enforcement or anybody else that needs to hear that interview. In the past, prior to having forensic interviews like this, children would have to repeat their story an average of 8 times to several different people. So this is one interview. And what happens is that the interviewer has an earpiece in her ear, and if law enforcement needs additional information, they will speak to the interviewer and say, can you can you explore this area? Can you ask this question? So it's only one interview. It then is recorded, and law enforcement, whether that's the sheriff's office or other law enforcement officials, takes a tape of the interview, and that becomes their evidence. We serve four counties: Mecosta, Osceola, Lake, and Newaygo counties, and so have all of those law enforcement people as our secondary clients. Our primary clients are the children and their families.
Is this a statewide or national organization, Wendy?
Child Advocacy Centers is a national. Back in the 80s, there was a huge case that lasted 8 years of a daycare, people being accused of child sexual abuse. From that awful case, the movement became that we would have to have doing forensic interviews that are separate from the whole process with anybody else with skin in the game, you know. So Child Advocacy Centers, we provide, we were the last agency that provided the Lower Peninsula with most of the rest of the Child Advocacy Centers. There's all of the counties, other than a couple of the, right on the lake shore, I think, have Child Advocacy Centers. So we are umbrellaed by Michigan Child Advocacy Center. We're you know, it's an umbrella, but not a funding source, and not somebody that we adhere to. I'm the chair of the board of directors, and so we are a separate entity, but we partner with all of our other agencies in the state of Michigan. But it is a national phenomenon.
What kind of license does that interviewer have to have?
What they do is the prosecuting attorneys of Michigan provides a 3-day training for forensic interviews. It's not a license that they get. They have to go through a 3-day training. And then they have to, every year, they have to have 3 peer-reviewed interviews. So what that means is that they have to submit one of their interviews to a panel of people that give them feedback with regard to, it's a constant peer review that happens every year. And then every 5 years they have to go through a 1-day refresher training. So.
This has nothing to do with your gaming, but thank you for answering all the questions, because I was ignorant to it.
No, I'm happy to provide, you know, I mean, a lot of people don't know what we do, and a lot of people don't know, I mean, it's all about the kiddos and their families, and you know, it does 2 things. What it does is exonerate people who might be accused falsely, and if there's no disclosure, case done, right? If there is a disclosure, then we can proceed with that, and we assist law enforcement in terms of an ongoing case. We are committed to the case until resolution of the case. Most of these cases are settled out of court. Nobody wants to try a child sexual abuse case. That's hard on everybody, you know, particularly the kids. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Questions others have? Anyone? Do we have a resolution to join into the gaming license?
So move, support.
Motion and support. Other questions regarding the gaming license, or anyone? Call the question, please, Tammy.
Happily?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Thank you all
Thank you.
very
Good
much.
luck.
Appreciate it.
Next, we'll go to general business, public works. Back to the ferric chloride issue. Mark?
Mayor, ferric chloride is a solution used at the wastewater plant to battle phosphorus levels, but it also increases settling. They try to get things to settle out of the water stream, right? And so it's an integral part of what we do at the wastewater plant, and we have to have it. And we bid it out periodically, and you may remember last year, I think we did our last extension with Webb Chemical, our only bidder for this year, and the price has nearly doubled. I don't know if maybe that's where you're getting at with how you introduced this, but so prices doubled last year and are up substantially again. The problem we have is, number one is it's a necessary component to the process at the plant, and the second one is we only ever get one bidder. There's not a plethora of places to provide this. Webb Chemical has always serviced the city well, and so what you have is the rebidding process, higher cost, like everything else we see anymore, right? Is things going up higher. So I recommend to you to award the contract to Webb Chemical, and you see the rates in your position paper, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mark?
Well, I saw the new rate, but I didn't see the old rate.
It was about 1,000, it's just over 1,000, 1,050 per dry ton is what we're currently at. The year before that, it was 500 and something.
Well, this is
1392. So in 2 years, it's nearly tripled. But
so what does that do for our budget line item moving forward? Obviously, we just.
Yeah, I'm sure we budgeted. I'm sure we budgeted at the old rates.
We did.
So we're going to be behind and have to make it up and do a transfer somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, we just didn't know what the new. Bid
Either we'll be able to do it internally, or we'll have to ask you to increase the budget.
Did they tell you why? Because their rates have gone up, or?
I don't know why, Commissioner. Happy to follow up with the company. And
when do we run out? If we don't order more.
How full is
No, I'm not saying we're not ordering.
I don't want stuff in my water.
Please don't misunderstand me, I'm no fool.
No, I couldn't tell you how full the tank is currently. I mean, I think they do deliveries. It seems to me they have a 1,000-gallon tank or something like that. So if it's full, I couldn't say right at the moment.
So here, a motion for the resolution to buy the ferric chloride.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? Tammy, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gump?
Yes. Next is a proposal from Fleece and Vandenbrink to engineer the replacement of the South State Street water main. Mark?
So many have witnessed or experienced the malfunction of this said water main that connects what we call the Ferris Tower, which is by the Ice Arena, and the State Street Tower, which is by Subway. It breaks a lot of times in front of McDonald's, in front of Walgreens, there's a lot of breaks in that area, but there's breaks and clamps all up and down that section of water main. We've budgeted to do a replacement. That was part of what we budgeted to do this year. We have it as part of our drinking water revolving fund application that we have not had. We don't know if we've got where that stands, and we should know soon. But one way or the other, whether it's part of the revolving fund or we fund it internally, we need to get the engineering done to have a 2024 project. So this is Fleece and Vandenbrink proposing to do the engineering on that water main replacement. And Mayor, a high priority in this project is not going to be to dig up any roads. I'm as passionate about that as you are. Not to say that there won't be some patching as they do connections into the businesses and so on in the university, but the engineering needs to be done. This is something we've prepared for and budgeted for as a high priority in our capital improvement plan, and recommend moving forward with the proposal.
What's the theory behind all the breaks?
It's cast iron, I believe.
Just a bad product.
It's old materials. Yeah, those cast. Yeah,
That's not very old.
They're bred old.
So you're going with the newest and latest.
Well, to bore it in and not have to dig a trench, it would actually be a plastic water main, which we've done some parts of our system, but that's how. So that's I'm sure going to be very much scrutinized as they do this design.
We applied for something for this one, and a different
That's the revolving fund, the drinking water revolving fund. This is part of our application for the revolving fund.
But didn't we get rejected on one last year for the same main?
You're
You're
right.
It was a
You are
different.
right. We did a grant application through CDBG,
Yes.
or Michelle's not
Wasn't
gonna fill
here.
us in on that one. You're right, Mayor.
Yeah, I think,
up.
and we did, they didn't choose us.
I can't come up with which application we did, but yes, you're right. We didn't get it funded there.
Revolving funds we pay back.
Historically, those have always been loans, but they have just recently funneled ARPA funding and other funding into the revolving funds, and that's how communities around us, I believe Reed City was a big, got a bunch of grant dollars through the revolving fund. So that was our impetus for applying to that, because the loan piece of it wasn't overly attractive, but that's how they're doling out also grant funds, is through that revolving fund. So we got back some scoring data, but we haven't heard anything in terms of the results. But they said August, September. So we have a lot of, not to change the subject, but we have a number of grant applications pending. The depot, the skate park, and then both revolving funds. All should find out hopefully in the next 60 days.
Thank you, Mayor. Other questions regarding the engineering of the water main? Hearing none, is there a motion to hire Fleece to do the engineering?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further comment? Ms. Wool?
Simmons,
Yes.
Cochran,
Yes.
Epley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Next is a resolution awarding a bid to paint the Dial-A-Ride building. Mark?
Yes, Mayor, you and commissioners would likely remember that we bid out siding twice, I believe. We were gonna vinyl side the Dial-A-Ride building, and the cost came in at $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. And we have $17,000 in grant funding to do the project. So we had to go back to the state, ask them if we could not do vinyl siding, that we could do painting, and they gave us the approval to do so. And so we actually went out to bid for a painting project and got 4 bidders at a wide array of projected costs, with as high as $47,000 and the low as just shy of $6,000. We're recommending Dave Cole Decorations, which was just shy of $15,000, so within our budget. And I know there's a number of questions about, well, what about the low bidder? Well, we have an internal process for bonding that we have since changed to loosen up some of the bonding requirements on smaller projects. So internally, we'll be able to avoid a situation like this. But the state also has to approve these bids, and did. They're okay, and they have a bonding requirement. So in this particular case, we wouldn't be able to award to the very low bidder, even though that's an attractive cost. But we're at the next low bidder, which thankfully is within our $17,000 of funding. So I asked Dawn what the color was going to be, because I know a lot of people would be interested in that. And she is pushing for some level of grayish blue kind of thing. So other than that, Mayor, recommend Dave Cole Decorations to do the painting of the Dial-A-Ride building, which is a request that we got from some of the local industries. And really will help. There's a few different siding pieces. The painting will help the aesthetics. And so happy to answer any questions.
Anyone?
I have
Please.
So this is a bid bond that they could not provide, or a performance bond?
Bid bond is my understanding.
Bid bond.
Carla?
Bid
Is
bond.
it? Yeah.
And because of the funding that Dial-A-Ride gets from
The state.
other entities from the state, they would require it regardless of whether or not we did.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. Sounds like something for the Charter Commission to work on.
Let's get it going.
But if the state overrides it, it won't matter.
Yeah.
Totally
This particular one,
understand.
it wouldn't
It's
matter.
still
Yeah.
an issue that I think merits some work.
Further questions? Is there a motion for the resolution to do the painting on the dial-a-ride?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? Abby?
Cochran,
Yes.
Epley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Another dial-a-ride, request to purchase a new bus. Mark?
So the first question that I asked, and I know that you asked, is what is an expansion bus? Because we visualize like two buses connected, or, you know, something larger, or, yeah. So, but come to find out that an expansion bus is the expansion of the fleet. It's the
Adding
same
bus.
Versus a replacement.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And so $190,000 for a bus, which was
Seems pretty
shocking
reasonable.
and higher than the last one I remember us getting, but it's funded through the state and federal funding that we get for transit, and so recommend moving forward, Mayor.
So who, is it Dawn who's the expert on dial-a-ride buses that does all the research and
She
all,
is.
picks all the best?
Yes, right, and we are dictated through the state about what, you know, because I think we even do it through the state purchasing, right? We don't bid out the
Correct.
bus.
Oh, you don't?
No, you get the bus that the state has already sort of, you know, spec'd out for you.
Then what's the issue?
We have to approve the agreement to get the funding because it runs through our books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? Anyone? Is there a motion to purchase the bus?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions? None.
Epley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Cochran.
Yes.
We're full of these various resolutions today that are,
Housekeeping.
oh boy.
Keeps the, Mayor, keeps the power on.
The next one's even better. To help us pay for our master plan, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is willing to give us some money to help pay for it. Not all of it, but a portion. Mark, is there anything more exciting than
Mayor,
that?
if you're comfortable, Michelle probably is best to talk about this.
So this is a grant that is available through the RRC program that the city is involved in and trying to be a redevelopment ready community. They offer a certain amount of funding for each community to work towards becoming certified in redevelopment, or becoming a redevelopment ready community. And so we've used part of that money already back when we did our housing